19.1.
19.1?
Yeah.
Okay, pictures.
I'll get a little bit of video of it quick and then this way. There we go, my first Withy Pool carp. It's just gone £19 one, and Matt says it's quite a rare one out of here as well. It's only been caught a couple of times, so yeah, nice one to have. Right down just in the edge, only probably, I don't know, 15-20 foot or so from the bank. It's a cracking carp, gave a good account of itself as well after it absolutely ripped off and scared the life out of me while I was in bed. But Matt's had a nice cat early on this evening as well, so fingers crossed there'll be a few more to come as well. So I'm going to get a couple of photos, pop this one back down and underarm that rod back out of there. That way. First Withy cat. That rod had literally been out there probably no more than about 10 minutes. Came on the Carp rod, which was about right. I was literally in the bivvy just moving the photos over that fish I just had, and this one absolutely melted away. So yeah, going to get another couple of photos, get it out there once again and see what it's going to bring me next time. Is it? Carp number 2 of the session. Lovely little common this time around. Nothing else happened through the hours of darkness, unfortunately, but it's looking really good for it today, so fingers crossed there might be a few more carp and a couple more cats along the way as well. I'm going to get a couple of pictures of this one as well, pop it back again and get the rod out and get back in the dry. Yeah, lovely little fish. Yeah, so all of its fins have got sort of, even the dorsal's got a bit on its like front spine there, look. carp, just gone 33.15.
Nearly.
Awesome fish that is, mate. Very, very nice. Get a couple of quick photos of it, shall I?
Cheers, mate.
Do you think we're going to go? Right, well, just got my bit of steak on for lunch. It's Tuesday afternoon now. We've been down here, well, I left work about this time yesterday, so I got down here about 4 o'clock time, I think it was, so just under 24 hours. As you've already seen by those couple of clips that we've had at the start, we've had a brilliant start to the session down here at Withy. I started off with that high double mirror, really cracking old sort of typical Withy looking fish, you know, the big sort of overslung heads, great big fins on it, big old backs, and then I'd not long just turn this bit of steak over. There we go. Yeah, I just put that one back, got the rod back out there, put a bit more bait out, right down in the edge where I had it from, and I was actually just sat in the bivvy, just moving the photos over to have a look and sort of crop them down and everything on my phone, and yeah, it ripped off again with that low 20 cat. I mean, we didn't weigh the cat, but it was around about that sort of weight, and then came through till this morning and had that little common that was probably low doubles, I should think. I reckon about 12 pound, I would say. Yeah, it's been very wet today. Hell of a lot of rain. It's just starting to ease up a little bit now, so hopefully we're sort of at the back end of it. And this afternoon it'll dry up and we can get out on the boat and reposition the cat rods and everything ready for tonight. But as you've just seen as well, Matt had that 3315. It's cracking fish over on the reed line, the tree line rather, over to the left margin. Really good scrap as well in the deep water. Gave him a real good run around. So yeah, it's a great start. You know, we're not even sort of 24 hours in, and Matt obviously had that low 30 cat right at the start of the session as well. I hadn't even got my rods out at that point. So yeah, 2 cats, 3 carp. We've had a couple of sort of funny little possible aborted takes on the cat rods as well. So yeah, it's all looking quite positive. Yeah, I'm looking forward to tonight. I'm going to get a couple of cat rods out again just before dark and go down to the 1 carp rod like I did last night. Because I would really like to get one of the bigger cats out. But at the same time, you know, the carp are obviously well on it as well. That's 3 we've had now between us, so they're obviously having a good feed. And speaking of good feeds, my steak is just about looking done, so I'm going to get that in my belly. And say if this rain's all calmed down by the time I finish that, I shall probably redo the cat rod, I reckon, and maybe have a look at the marginal carp rod as well, just give that a bit of a freshen up from this morning. Right, I'm going to have this bit of steak, and yeah, I'll catch up with you a bit later. Right, well, there we go. First sort of real decent cat I've had out of here, and believe it or not, it's the one that Matt had on the first evening. It's got a little scar and sort of little lump of tissue under its belly, so it's 100% the same fish. Obviously he didn't get on the camera the first time around, so he obviously wanted to come back and be seen to you all. So yeah, well made up with this. Just gone 36.1 I think it was. So I think it's put on a couple of pound as well. It's obviously got a belly full of my pellet, I reckon. But right, going to get a couple of photos, pop it back, and yeah, see if we can get another one through the night. They're very active out there again, slapping all over the surface. So I think we may do all right tonight. Right, well, I'm just heading into the second night down here at Withy now. As you saw earlier on this evening, I had that mid-30 cat, which was it's a cracking fish. It's really dark as well. I don't know whether it will have picked the sort of colours up properly with obviously being at night and the light on the camera or not, but really lovely dark fish. And they're still very active out there as well. There's been an awful lot of movement and tail slaps out on the surface, so the cats are obviously well on the feed and on the hunt out there. So yeah, I think there's a reasonable chance of something else happening tonight, whether it be on the cat side of things or possibly picking one up on the carp rods maybe. I'm down here by myself tonight. Matt has had some family come to visit, so he went to see them this evening, and he's headed back home. I'm pretty sure he's likely to be heading back over. Well, he'll be back over tomorrow at some point. I think he's going to fish tomorrow night as well. But yeah, it's looking pretty promising. It's been a great session so far, really. You know, I've had two carp, that mirror and the common, two cats. Matt has had a cat and a carp. So yeah, it's not been a bad first 24 hours really. And yeah, we've still got the majority of the session ahead of us. So yeah, fingers crossed there'll be a few more to show before we head off on Thursday. It's been brilliant so far, you know, just to get the chance to fish somewhere like this. You know, the sort of history of the place, on both in both the cat and the carp world. It's a very historic venue, and it's a really lovely place to be as well. With I mean, the cats are really dark and they're sort of black as your hat. They're lovely fish, and then the carp as well. They're you know, they're sort of true. You can just tell a withy fish. You know, they, especially the big mirrors. You know, they've got those sort of big sort of humped backs, or sort of big overslung heads and mouths, and yeah, they're really sort of characterful fish. And it was great to see a decent sized one as well. You know, obviously I love catching that mirror in the common I have, but to see that 33 that Matt had was really nice. But yeah, we'll see what happens over the next sort of 48 hours before I have to head off. So I'm reasonably confident we're going to have something more before we go. Whether it carries on in the same sort of rich vein of form that we've experienced this first 24 hours or so, I don't know. But yeah, I'm sure there'll be something else, and fingers crossed it'll be at some point tonight. Yeah, they're all out there. The rod that I had the 36 on earlier, unfortunately with nobody else being here to watch the other rods, I couldn't head out in the boat to drop that out on the spot again, so that's just been underarm down in close, just over the back of a weed bed. I've had a few liners on that, and obviously I did pick that cat up on the carp rod last night as well, which was only down in close. Another real big tail slap out there then. So I think it's got a chance down there. You know, I just underarmed it out and brought it back a couple of times. It's going down nice and hard, and then probably about another 5 or 10 foot further in from where I've dropped it, there is a bit of weed there, so hopefully that little bit of cover, you know, the sort of drop off from the margins, there may be a cat or two hanging about in that weed, and I'll head out at some point through the night to go and have a few pellets. All the other rods are still where they were set at the start of the evening. My right hand rod is down in close on the right hand margin where I had those two carp and the cat from last night. I've got a carp rod out onto the left hand tree line, and there's a cat rod a little bit further along that tree line as well, sort of where the drop, well, his lake sort of drops off really deep out in front of the swim, and then probably about 50-60 yards out into the lake it comes up really sort of rapidly from sort of mid 20 to 30 foot deep, up onto a shallow area which pretty much covers the whole far end of the lake, and yeah, that's where I had that cat from earlier. And I say the left hand cat rod that is still out there is kind of fished at the bottom of that drop off and on the edge of that tree line down the left margin, so it should be in a nice little area there, I would imagine. So there's been a lot of activity over on that tree line, and there's been a fair few liners as well through the evening, so yeah, my hopes are reasonably high, and I am going to get my head down now because it's getting on for about 11 o'clock time, I think. So try and get a bit of shut eye before we hopefully have a bit of action later on. Well, it's another liner. Well, it's now Wednesday morning. Last night didn't quite go to plan, unfortunately. After that 36 cat early on, things sort of went downhill a fair bit after that, to be fair. Had an awful lot of liners right the way through the night, you know, to the point it was quite difficult to settle and get off to sleep. About 2 in the morning my right hand carp rod absolutely flew off, but it just kept sort of powering down the margin, and unfortunately found a snag a little way down. I didn't manage to get it out. I left the rod on the rests overnight just in case, but yeah, this morning came and I reeled the other rods in and sort of followed the line down, and yeah, it just dropped the hook in a snag, unfortunately, but at least the fish had got away. So yeah, that rod was out of action all night. Obviously the rod that I had the cat on, I couldn't get that back out onto the spot that that I'd originally put it on for the night. So that one, although it was in the water, it wasn't really in an area that I expected to catch from. And then probably around about 10 o'clock this morning, the left hand carp rod absolutely flew off down the tree line. But that was pretty much an instant hook pull, unfortunately. I sort of hit into it, rod went round, and a couple of shakes of the head and it was off. So yeah, that was two lost fish. Not great really, but yeah, that's the way fishing goes sometimes, especially when you're fishing up against snags like we are in here. And then just to rub salt into the wounds, I reeled in the other cat rod, the one that had still been on the spot from where I put it yesterday evening. Reeled it in, and yeah, I sort of felt something on the end all the way in. I thought it was just perhaps a bit of weed or something like that, but it was a great big, well, not massive tree branch, but a tree branch probably about 4 foot long, right on the hook. So that pretty much rendered that rig useless overnight. So yeah, not too great really. The one rod that was still fishing after the couple of takes, so I had that hook pull on that one, but I've got everything resorted now. So I got out in the boat and got that other one out of the snag. I didn't get my rig back unfortunately, but I got everything else, so I've retied a rig up for that one, got that back down on that marginal spot again. All the other three I've boated back out as well, rebaited around all three, and it's quite a nice settled day today. It's definitely dropped a few degrees. It's not cold by any means, but I shouldn't think it's any more than probably 14-15 degrees. Nice and overcast, so yeah, it's looking positive still. Obviously you've just heard as I started this piece was a little liner then, that was on the left hand cat rod, which is over on that tree line. So yeah, we'll see what happens. I think Matt's popping back down later on this afternoon. I think he's planning on fishing tonight, but we shall see what happens later on. But for now I'm just going to go and get my chair out now that we haven't got any rain today, and just sort of sit there and enjoy the scenery and the peace and quiet, and fingers crossed we may well get into a fish at some point through the day. Unhooking mat, dog bed, same kind of thing really. And there we go, a lovely common to end that little run of bad luck that we had through last night. This one's just gone 1912 off of the tree line over to the left. Really cracky looking fish, nice deep bodied dark old common. We've got one of the dogs here in shot as well, just having a little sniff about. But yeah, well pleased with this one. Gave a hell of an account of itself as well. Really charged around the swim, started off on the left margin like I say, and it was down going on the right hand margin of the swim, which is probably a good, I don't know, 80 to 100 yards away by the time I'd got it in the net. So I'm going to get a couple of photos, get that rod back out over there because it's been quite sunny this afternoon, so hopefully they'll be moving up on the shallower water, and we may well get another one. Ourselves another rather lively little common. I think I'm just going to get this one unhooked and pop it straight back. It's probably only maybe a scraper double possibly. I'm just going to underarm that rod down in the left hand margin for tonight now, I think. Let's come off of that left hand tree line again. Lovely little fish, great scrap again. Right, well we've got ourselves another cat. I've not weighed it, but I'm gonna guess it's probably around the sort of low to mid 20s, I reckon. Another real plump, fat little thing. It's in cracking condition. Really dark, these fish in here. Lovely looking fish, they really are, and that's come off with the same sort of spot as that 36 from last night. Out on the old Withy halibut and mackerel 28mm barrel boilies again, fishing them over a big bed of halibut pellet, and yeah, he's been doing the job. So I'm going to get a couple of quick photos just for the old records and memories, and we'll pop this one back and get that rod resorted again, drop it down in the edge, and I've just seen one of my cart rods looks like it's been moved about a fair bit as well, so I think I'm going to do that one again while I'm up as well. Right, lovely fish, well pleased. Well, it's probably the smallest one of the trip, I should imagine, but another lovely little fish all the same. A real deep bodied little common. That's off that left hand rod that I had the other carp on earlier in the evening. I just repositioned it down in the left margin, and yeah, this one's just ripped off with it, so yeah, I'll plonk that back down there. You never know, there might be a bigger one come along at some point before we head off tomorrow afternoon. They certainly seem to be quite active tonight, the carp, so yeah, it's been a great session so far. That's carp number 5 now, and 3 cats. So yeah, I've still got about half of tonight to go. It's about 2:30, I think, 2:30, 3 o'clock, something like that. So there's still plenty of time left for something a little bit bigger to possibly come along before we go. Right, I'm going to pop this one back, get that little rod back out of the water, and see what'll happen before we have to head off. Oh, that's one of the cat rods, just had a little liner then. Right, let's get him back. Well, what a palaver this one's caused. I was on that right hand rod where I lost the fish last night in the snag. Hooked into it, it was definitely there, pulling back, and then all went solid again under the trees. But I was pretty sure it was still on tonight, so as you can probably see from the life jacket, I've just been out in the boat, followed the line down, and yeah, picked it out a couple of sort of clumps of weed that are growing on the branches of the tree, and finally got to the end of where the leader was, and yeah, without too much trouble, this one came up from the depths. I managed to scoop it in the net, cut the old line once it was in there, and make my way back to the bank. It's just gone 19.5, so yeah, well made up with it. Another cracking common as well. You know, from what I've heard from Matt, I don't think the bigger commons are all too common, shall we say, in here. So yeah, to have a couple of 19s, and this is definitely a different fish from the one I had the other day as well, because that one had quite a distinguishable lip on one side where it's sort of angled up in the corner. So yeah, I'm going to get a couple of photos. I think I'll probably leave that rod in tonight now until the morning. Re-rig it then and have a go once the sun comes up again. Cracking fish, well pleased. Right, well, I'm just heading into my last afternoon down here at Withy. I've probably got about 3 hours or so of fishing time remaining, I should imagine, and it has been an incredible session. You know, first and foremost, I'm just very thankful and incredibly privileged to been able to fish the place, and a massive thanks go out to Matt of Withy Products for allowing me to come down here and letting me fish this incredible venue. You know, it's so rich in history when it comes to both carp and cats, so to sort of walk the banks and be able to fish its waters, and even more so to catch some of its stock has been great. You know, and I'll ever forever remember this session and being allowed down on here. As far as going forward it goes, I've not long just reset these rods for the afternoon. I've put the cat rods away now, as I've not had any action on the cat side of things throughout the day in the time I've been here, so I've popped them away, got an extra carp rod out, and I've positioned 2 of these up on the shallower water up the far end of the lake. There's a real nice little hole in the weed that Matt has made by sort of feeding it up over the last few months. So that's been taken right down to the gravel. You know, so I've got a rig placed right on the edge of gravel there, so all the lead and the tubing is laid nicely back into the weed. I've just got my little bit of my hook link and the hook bait just poking out the edge of it. I've then got another one in a little sort of alcove over towards some overhanging trees on the far left hand margin. Again, there's a nice little hole in the sort of over the back of the weed in there, so that one has been placed just into that. And the left hand rod is along that left hand tree line where I've managed to pick 2 or 3 fish up from now, and where Matt had that 33 the other day as well. So I say there's not an awful lot of time left, but you never know. They're out in the water, they're fishing well in areas that I feel quite confident in. Should the fish pass over and fancy a feed, we may well get one last chance, but whatever happens, it's been a great session. 6 carp, 3 cats. I've lost a couple as well, whether they've been carp or cats I'm not too sure, but yeah, really has been a very enjoyable 3 days down here. But I'm going to get myself some bacon sandwiches on now, get a couple of those cooked up. That will tide me over until I get back home for dinner later on. And yeah, just going to enjoy the last couple of hours of being here and being allowed to spend time in such an amazing place. I think the next time you'll see me will be over on the Syndicate. I've got a little session over there with Chris, which will be quite nice. I've not really spent a lot of time there recently with having so many little forays here and there to different places over the last couple of months, so being able to sort of knuckle down for the autumn and get stuck into that will be quite nice. With trips over to Albans, Churchwood, down here obviously, and not forgetting like the tote trips and the session I had out with Adam the other week on the little day ticket lake. I've been here, there and everywhere, to be honest, over the last 2 months or so. So yeah, I'm looking forward to getting knuckled down for the autumn, and going into the winter on both Trinity and the other little water I've been invited onto. And yeah, fingers crossed we'll manage to sneak a few more out before the real cold weather hits and the pike fishing time is upon us. But yeah, as far as today goes, like I say, I've got about another 2.5–3 hours now. Get a bit of food and then I'll probably have a relax for an hour and a half or so, and then just start having a slow pack away towards the end of the afternoon. And yeah, fingers crossed we might get one more chance, but if not, it's been an awesome session, and one I shall remember for a long while for a few different reasons. So I'm going to leave it there, get the old stove and everything out for one last time, and yeah, if I don't catch you down here again before I leave, then I shall see you probably Sunday afternoon or early evening time. Well, I was pretty much packed up and ready to go. The bivvy's down, all of the bed and bags are away, and I was just going to have a sort of 15–20 minute sit down before bringing the rods in. And the middle rod over in that tiny little hole over near the bushes, picked up tight, and another big line on the left hand rod. Yeah, picked up tight and managed to get it away from the overhangs, thankfully, and this was the result. Another stunning old common, £19.12. This one has gone. Still not quite hit that £20 mark, but you know, they're awesome old fish in here. That's 3 £19 commons I've had now. And this one's a completely different sort of body shape to the other couple I've had, but yeah, really made up. what a great week, and yeah, speechless really. Awesome fishing.